I took it as it's just how my brain works.
Wow. Okay.
It's not an illness as such because, like I said, majority of my little perks are not necessarily bad. They become bad when sometimes they hinder me from seeing the light. But majority of them are not necessarily bad. So how can I say it's an illness as such if majority of them help me with life in general?
Okay.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel.
Hey guys, welcome to Authentic Conversations. Today I'm chilling with Desiree and we'll be discussing mental health and illness during pregnancy. Do enjoy.
So you were diagnosed with obsessive compulsive personality disorder. What is that? Like from your perspective, your personal experience, what's that?
So I always say it's a classified control freak. So basically you are just how do I put it? You set yourself in motion to become a perfect person.
Okay.
And then in those moments where you want to be perfect, you create templates of everything. Let's say you create a template of a good day at work. So you'd say a good day at work is from 8 to 9 you read your emails, from 9 to 10 you work, 12 on the dot you take lunch. So it's a template of how exactly the day is supposed to be.
Okay.
When you meet a friend, there's a template as well. A friend has to have these qualities, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Cooking, you don't cook, you don't sit down until you're done. So that also has like a template of how you need to do what it is that you need to do. I gave an example during the talk about bathing. You don't brush your teeth without bathing. That on its own also has a way in which it needs to be done. And according to me, that template is perfect.
Okay.
It's not, but according to me, it is.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It works for you though.
Besides working, because sometimes it doesn't even work for me.
Okay.
Because,
Interesting.
But because it's deemed to be perfect, then it's perfect. So it's more chasing a world of perfection. But the most important part of it is that if you follow that perfect template, you always have good, positive outcomes.
But now who deems it to be perfect?
I do.
So even if it might not work for you at some times, but you still deem it to be perfect.
Yes.
And if you know, Guti, when you follow that template, you're guaranteed
Yes.
positive outcomes.
And the template is created when you come across that situation for the first time.
Okay.
So, for example, if I drive, like when I started driving, if I drive the first time, and then whatever method of driving I took, like let's say I went from 1 to 2 to 3 and then back. However, excuse me, I maneuvered the situation and no one died.
Yeah.
And I got from work to home. That is perfect. So from that day on, that becomes a template.
True.
That's what. And then it rains, and then oh my god, like how do I do this?
So do we have a rain template, game?
And then you freak out for like the first 20 minutes, which I did, and then you're like, and then something just kicks, and you're like, but I mean, it's still the same template. You just have to adjust it a bit, And then you're like, okay, so now we're introducing wipers. So for that moment, I'm in the car, I'm looking at the wipers go like this, and I'm like, no, everything's gonna be fine, everything's gonna be fine, everything. And then eventually I'm like, so what does the template say? Then I start the car, and then eventually it starts raining. Then we add rain on that template. So that's how life basically goes. It goes like that.
Okay, so now when the psychiatrist or psychologist.
Psychiatrist.
So when the psychiatrist says this is not a perfect template, this is mental illness. Like, how do you take that? Like,
it's fine, you don't know. I know. Because it's not a good thing to have, because for somebody that I believe that I have some ounce of intelligence. You need to realize when somebody's trying to help you.
Yeah.
You need to realize when you can't say God is black and then when somebody comes it's white and then you freak out, you want to shoot them. Like, you must be able to hear what they have to say and say, oh, okay. Or if you're gonna agree, agree. If you're not gonna agree, you can say, oh, you know what? Stay with your God is white. I'll stay with my God is black, and still be okay with that. But when you compulse over your own personality. When somebody comes and tells you that your own person this like, and then you're like, but eventually you're like, you don't know, I know it's my personality.
Because I think in Nami I'd be like, if I operated on a template, which is now I operate on a template, I will have a template for the day, but I'll probably not do anything on that. Like, I wish I had a template. I wish I had, like,
how do you do it and not do it?
I'd be like, okay, today I'm gonna do A, B, C, D, and then I don't do it. I'm just like, tomorrow I'm gonna try again, and I don't do it. So I understand the idea of a perfect template. I am not good with the execution. Okay. So I can understand. I know people with templates, and when you tell them, you're not supposed to do something, it doesn't go down easy or nicely. When somebody's gonna tell you what is something you have been doing for all these years, it's been working, it's been producing good results. All of a sudden, no, this is, and then you add. So now, like, where does anxiety fit in, Gay? With that whole situation.
So the anxiety fits in when the external factors that want to now disturb your template, and then most of the time you have no control over these externalities, and that then you start freaking out because now I have all of this to do, and then you're like, you understand, I have a whole day planned out, and
I'm like, no, we need to go now.
You understand, but my day, and then you're like, oh my gosh, who do I satisfy, myself, or do I satisfy this external factor that, and usually what is important is the external factor. Let's say you're at work, and they're like, because they're like pulling me into projects, they're like, we actually need you here, and then you're like, but I have like a whole line of things that I need to do, and then my heart goes off and my breathing goes off, and and by the end of the day, because I've been holding that, because people deem me as a calm person, and inside I'm like literally just holding everything together, and when it says 4:30 and I'm letting go, and
because Nami, I was telling you, I deem you as a calm person. I was like, how are you so calm? I'm not calm. How are you so calm?
I'm not.
I want you to kind of like take us back to before you were diagnosed. How are you then, basically? How are you, and post your diagnosis? What are the changes that you've experienced?
I think the most dramatic change would be now I feel I can count on myself.
Okay.
Because before I got diagnosed, like, there was always me looking up to somebody, looking up to a certain situation that would almost validate how I felt. You understand? Like a nod or a gadget that would say you're on the right line, you're on, what you're doing is correct.
Okay.
It wasn't a feeling where you feel that this is right. It was, I always needed somebody to validate that your course of line, the way that you live, how you connect yourself, that is how it's supposed to be. And then after that, there was that realization that the only person that needs to be okay with the situation is myself. And at whatever moment, I never needed to pick up a phone and find out if what I was doing at that moment was okay. I just had to now ask myself, how do you feel about the situation? Are you okay with the situation? I think that was the biggest part of it. I mean, yes, I went through varsity and I got a job, but I never felt that I needed to validate I needed that validation that, I'm on the right path, I'm not wasting my time, or all I needed at the moment was to just get to myself and say, are you okay with this? Like, does this feel alright? Like, for example, there was a point where I wanted to do my honors, and there was a point where I realized I didn't want to do it for me.
Okay.
It was more of my parents wanted to do it so that it almost secures life for me.
Yeah.
But when I actually realized in it while I was doing it that
So did you complete it?
I didn't. Although it still feels like something that I need to finish.
Okay.
But I want to have the decision where when I do it, it will be, okay, I have 2 years to kill. Let's do it. Not because that whole I'm a good daughter demeanor now needs to go back into place, or I'll be doing it because it's really something that I would want to do.
So now when I talk about mental health, so we have mental illness, but now how do we reconcile that to say, okay, fine, I've got anxiety, the situation.
What do I do with it?
Yeah.
Terrible time to be asking me those questions. Terrible time.
Why?
Because I've just entered this stage in my life, and now I have to adjust towards going to that mental health part of it, because it's a lot, bruh. It's a lot. So now all those techniques that I usually used before I got pregnant, they're not necessarily helping me at this stage. So I am working towards finding that for the next few months, finding more coping mechanisms that are more suited for, before I got pregnant I could drink and then wake up and it's not necessarily drinking is a good coping mechanism, but for that moment I could drink and forget that, and or I could go to the gym and then I ran for a good 10K, but I can't do that anymore.
10K. Oh, okay.
It wouldn't be me running. My legs would be running, but your brain would be elsewhere. So now I have to find new ways.
And so, what ways have you found? Because now you've moved to kind of a normal situation, what you used to, basically your day to day. Okay, when I have anxiety, this is how I cope. Now you have anxiety plus hormones that you have nothing to do with. It's not under your control.
So now, when you have a panic attack, you have a panic attack throughout, and then in the whole time you're having that panic attack, you still have, this is a panic. You identify with the situation. This is a panic attack. The reason I'm having a panic attack within the panic attack. So the reason I'm having a panic attack is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Within that, so these are the solutions, and then all of a sudden you start breathing again, and you're like, okay. And then the realization that you can't do shit about it. Sorry, you can't do anything about it at that moment. You can't take a pop a pill, or the realization that you can't actually, there's not, because with me, my brain is a switch on, switch off, do wrong, do bad. There's always a counteraction for everything. But at that moment, there's actually nothing. You realize there's nothing.
Face yourself. You have to.
There's really nothing. So, which is why at that situation, I have to say, this is the reason why I'm having a panic attack. What are the solutions? These are the solutions. And then at that moment, when I've actually dealt with it in the panic attack, then I'm like, okay, this is not bad. It's a doable situation. It's not as bad as it felt in the beginning of the attack. And then only then do I say, oh, okay. And then my breathing becomes normal again. And I'm like, but I've been frantic in that entire 10 minutes. But I've dealt with whatever I had,
Yeah. Okay, this is a weird question, but which one is better?
Better.
Yeah. In a sense that now you are actually, you have to deal with it. You can't, I don't know, drink a shot or pop a pill, but you face it. So when you face it, does it, okay, I faced it, I'm done. Like you've panicked, 10 minutes is gone and you're frantic and you're done. As opposed to popping a pill, it calms you, you're happy, but like, does that, whatever it is that was the issue, does it go away? Which one works?
Sometimes, like, I usually buy a book and then don't read it.
Yeah.
Because I sometimes feel that whatever answers, because obviously the universe puts what it puts in your path, and whatever answer that you get from that book, you should be ready to change. You understand what I'm saying? So you can't just read one of those books that, give you a sense of enlightenment and just still go back to old habits. And then for you to actually be ready to read that book, you need to be ready yourself.
Yeah.
I feel it's the same with this situation. You need to be ready to face something. You can't just put yourself in a situation where, because sometimes even if the solution is resolved, whatever feeling that you feel might always either be positive or be negative about that situation.
True.
You might actually realize after that situation that, you know what, things are not going to get as bad as I thought they would be. Or, I have to actually talk to my parents, which I actually don't want to talk to my parents. Or sometimes you just mentally need to be ready for the outcome of whatever it is that you are experiencing at that time. And not everybody has that emotional intelligence to accept that this is the solution, this is exactly what I need to do.
Yeah.
So I honestly think that it's, in some situations it could be good, but in some situations,
because you're forced to.
Because you're forced to. No, and it's my relationship is very new with my boyfriend, and he finds it hard to tell when I'm actually freaking out, because I'm always, I seem like I'm always calm, but I'm actually not, and it kind of drives me crazy sometimes. But
now how, like, that's an interesting one, because if you seem like you're always calm and it's difficult for somebody to read, how do you communicate it? Okay, Guti.
Interesting. Now that I'm pregnant, I can feel a panic attack coming. Okay. I can physically feel my heart, my lungs closing up. And then the first time it happened, and then I didn't do anything about it, and I burst out crying. I couldn't stop crying for a whole hour. But before then, I could calm myself and then say, "Ish, Ejo, like you did this and this and this, and I didn't like it."
Yeah.
And I would be like in the state, I would be very calm, but I would actually be very angry. But I'd be like, "You did this and this, and it made me angry." And then I can feel like, okay, now I'm calm. But now, oh, the jokes. I can't do that anymore. I can't do that anymore. I think it's the most. I keep telling him, you don't know me, and it's unfortunate that you'll never know then, like the me then, because that person in me is like, the first time he saw me cry was after I got pregnant, because I'm not a crying person. I get up, go to the bathroom, go and cry, come and then sit down and say, "This hurt me." I would never do it in front of you.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's because you grow up and, like, firstborn, you're not supposed to show weakness.
Okay.
Especially in front of, like, other people. But that's what I would do. But now the toilet is very far. The toilet is very, very far. But there's no other way except for saying,
Yeah.
This is the situation. I'm hurt because of this and this and this. And because a man is a man, you have to explain, these eggs are broken because you stepped on them. But you didn't realize you stepped on them, but because you need to like really
clean up the mess.
Explain like what it is. But there were certain things that just didn't get to me. Like very small things that I thought were very trivial.
Yeah.
But now, like, it's...
So maybe now we can, pregnancy comes with its own So now we can blame the hormones, which is okay.
No, it's not okay.
Why?
Why?
It's okay,
It's
you
not
know.
okay.
You have a human growing.
No,
like-
it's not okay. It's definitely not. I hate it. I hate it with a passion. It's not okay.
So okay. Explain what you mean, Mount. It's not okay. Do you think we should take responsibility?
Yes.
But I'm pregnant.
Yeah, but take responsibility. It's still your feelings.
Yeah. Okay.
You can still say like I'm crying because, or you can still say like I'm crying. You can actually still say I'm crying because I want chocolate. Don't just cry and say, "Oh, mom." They take ownership of your shit. Say, I'm crying because I don't know why I'm crying.
What do you think taking ownership does for you? Because that's a very important thing you just said. Take ownership of your feelings.
I think I mentioned this the last time as well. I always expect how I view life in other people.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if we all take ownership of our own whatever it is that we're going through, it's much easier for people to assume things that, oh, she's crying because of her hormones. I'm not crying because of my hormones. I'm actually crying because
You want chocolate.
didn't want to wash the dishes and I'm really tired. But you understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
there will always be assumptions of if somebody is crying in the office, it's because they're always crying. You just don't know why they're crying. They're always crying, and you just become labeled as that girl that is always crying. But because no one actually knows what's going on, then you just end up having these assumptions of this is what it is or this is what is not. And I feel like ownership makes you a responsible adult. It makes you a better human being.
Yeah, I would say you're a better human being because when you want to take ownership during pregnancy as well, like that. You're definitely better than me because I feel like, give free pass, I can blame it
Let
on...
me give you an example. In the beginning, when I was still in my first trimester, my boyfriend said, "Get there." And I was livid. What? Me? I have a reputation, bruh. And you were, what? Get there? No. So I think that was the beginning of me saying, you know what? Don't make assumptions because now I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
Like if get there, ask me, are you tired or what is wrong? Like if you feel get there, because Gotefa is not my personality. I'm not that person. You understand? So ask me. Don't say hormones. Never say hormones. Okay? There's no. There might be, but to me, it's no.
It's not hormones.
No.
Okay, it's a very interesting. I don't know, for me, I'm like, it's okay to blame everything on the hormones, but the way you're putting it makes it's a different perspective on pregnancy. It's okay, you're pregnant, but you're still you.
Exactly.
And yes, there's additional, I don't know, you're going through, but you still need to be able to communicate and say, Guti, A, B, C, D, I didn't like. So, yeah, okay, that's interesting.
I think what I didn't want to happen is, majority of my friends never made it out with their partners because of them being pregnant. So there's this constant look of the reason why.
Yeah.
Like, why is it because? Why? Like, yes, I'm pregnant and I'm very hormonal, but my partner and I shouldn't now just concentrate everything on the pregnancy. I'm pregnant, but
You're still you. You still have needs.
we are still in a relationship, and that still needs to work. So, which is why I was saying that there's that line of communication that needs to happen. I mean, we spend a lot of time together, and he becomes moody. He takes some of the essence of the pregnancy. And as much as he understands my situation, I have to understand his situation.
That's true.
And then that open line of communication has to be there. So, but before I'm pregnant, I'm still me. And that is important for me personally.
Yeah.
Hence, before mental illness, there's still me. I'm not my mental illness. I'm still Desiree. It's just that there's this situation that is what it is, and let's handle that in that sense. Don't handle it as if now I'm pregnant and I'm disabled. It's still me. I just have this thing.
You just have
Yeah.
temporary situation you're going through. Okay, that's interesting. And I remember because I talked, you said you talk to your anxiety. Do you still do that? And what has that done for you? Like being able to separate yourself from, okay, this is me and this is my anxiety. So what has that done for you and your mental health?
I think that it has helped in a sense that, like I said, you're able to now remove yourself from the situation and almost have a, what do you call, a ghost to body experience, an out of body experience, that you're able to say, you know, anxiety stems from fear. So you just like, anxiety sits in there and then she's holding whatever is whatever it is that you're afraid of. And then you are able to just now, English is now traveling to America, but you are able to now look at the problem from a perspective that does not necessarily affect you on an emotional.
Yeah.
You understand? You're able to say, okay, so driving makes you anxious. Why does it make you anxious? Do you need somebody to teach you? Or like you're able to look at it from almost a non-mental illness. You know, you're able to like remove yourself from the situation. You're like, okay, because at the end of the day, it's driving. Everybody drives.
Yeah.
But why is it that you feel the way that you feel about it? So you look at it from that perspective that, okay, at the end of the day, it's driving, but why does it make you feel the way it makes you feel?
You said during the talk that you went to a lady, Carol Monk,
Caroline Leaf.
and she taught you how to deal with your mental illness. Do you consider it a mental illness? Let me.
I mean, if the sky is blue, I was telling a friend of mine that if she went to see a psychiatrist now, she'd be diagnosed with something. If you went to see a psychiatrist, you'd be diagnosed with something.
I would.
You understand? Look, so it's some people, because victimization, because you feel they want to take it as if it's an illness. You know, I took it as it's just how my brain works.
Wow. Okay.
It's not an illness as such, because, like I said, majority of my little perks are not necessarily bad. They become bad when sometimes they hinder me from seeing the light. But majority of them are not necessarily bad. So how can I say it's an illness as such if majority of them help me with life in general?
Okay. How do they help you?
Well, they give my life structure. Well, they did give my life structure. And they like, for example, when I meet a certain person, let's say when I'm in a social setting, I already know that after plus minus 30 minutes, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I already know that, find a quick spot somewhere in the corner somewhere. Like it just happened because I already know, okay, hi, oh my gosh, nice to see you. If we don't sit in a circle and interact, then shame. It's going to be, hi, how are you? And then after 30 to an hour, I find somewhere at the back, somewhere where I can sit with my phone and, just be myself. And at the end of the day, I don't feel like they suck the life out of me.
Okay. So I normally say it's energies. Like I can also feel people's energies. If your energy feels toxic or like, there's those people you meet and they drain you. Like they don't even have to spend lots of time with you, but drain. So I find that I'm very, what's the word? English is America right now. But I don't know, it's easy for me to get drained by people. Like I meet you now and your energy is just left.
And already decide.
Yeah, like, no, I can't do this. But now, unlike you, I don't think I think I'd stay longer with the situation.
Why?
I think I don't know, but I think I would entertain it. Like, entertain the person. I don't want to be rude, maybe, but
And then what happens when you get home? How do you feel when you get home?
tired. I need to sleep.
So you'd rather put yourself through that than actually protect yourself from the situation.
No, I want to protect myself. That's the thing. And I think it's something that I really need to work on. Luckily, now I know the kind of people I don't want to interact with. So if somebody, I don't know, on that kind of energy, I'm like, ask me, okay, let's go out. I'm like, I have to,
Yes.
So at least, even though I'm lying with what I have to do, if I have to do something, yay, great, because I have a genuine excuse. But as long as I manage to get out of the situation and you don't drain me, like you didn't get a chance to drain me, then I'm happy.
Well, I can't do that. I sometimes wish I could, but I can't.
But I like the fact that you can't. I
How's
feel
that a good thing?
it's a good thing. We need to be, like I was telling you earlier, Guti, this is your one and only life. So you need to go a point where you're like, okay, especially if you're sure, like you know, Guti, this doesn't work for me, this works for me. You need to be able to say, okay, the situation is not for me, I need to go.
The reason I'm saying it's not a good thing is because I end up vocalizing it. And that is not a good thing.
How? Example? Like telling the person go their face as in uyang train.
We're just not doing the thing. And you're genuinely a good person. Like I can see you're a nice person, but my adlosies, they just, I have to, and at that moment, like my nose wrinkles out and like, they're like, oh my gosh, this child. So it's because sometimes, although like I'm that person, I sometimes do want to go out. I sometimes do want to socialize. Like I sometimes want to engage with other humans.
Yeah.
And then if all the time there's this girl, bruh, that is always like being weird. Like they don't invite. Who's gonna invite you anyway? If when you're always checking out people's auras, you're like, no. So no, it's not necessarily a good thing. It's just that you have to pick and choose. Like, okay, but how long does this picking and choosing? There's always like a lot of quantity and very little there's a lot of quantity and very little quality. So how do you? It's.
But would you rather quality or quantity?
I'd rather be at home, actually. I'd rather be at home. But like I said, even the darkest of the darkest needs a bit of sunlight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Because Nami, sometimes I haven't been diagnosed with anything, but like.
You haven't been diagnosed with anything. So why this whole interest in this whole thing?
Because, listen, the reason I haven't been diagnosed with anything is because I'm not gonna let anyone diagnose me. Firstly, ne? And secondly, it's because.
And then she laughs. It's because
I have a deep interest in the mind, and I believe we have the ability to control our minds. So that's the thing I'm exploring. And I feel like the moment you pin me down and say, we're not on a anxiety or whatever, because the situations where, like, leaving home is a big thing for me. If I have to go somewhere and I'm done, I'm ready, ne? I will literally round out here looking for something. Like, my boyfriend will be waiting for me there for like 5-10 minutes. I'll be rounding, looking for something. Because, like, the step of getting out of the house, going somewhere, gee, it's a thing. It's serious, and I can't do it. And after,
But obviously, you do eventually go out.
I do, and then now I have to like reconcile myself with, okay, I'm going to see Des. Des normally only that mang mang, and I don't like that mang mang. You know, that person's too judgy or whatever. Like, okay, no, we can deal with them. You just have to smile. Don't entertain them. Don't be rude. Don't answer. You know, when they say something, you just smile. Or some days I'll be like, when they say something, say this. You know, like, I'm already trying to protect myself from the situation.
That sounds like social anxiety.
Yeah, but I'm never gonna allow anyone to.
But why? It's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, I feel like it's not. It definitely is not, because I believe, like, mental illnesses are there, ne? And it's not something you can just chuck off with, no, like, and you have to be sensitive to them, and you have to understand when somebody's going through it. But for me, I'm just like, no.
But I can
now
understand
I can do
what
this.
you mean, because in the beginning I became my mental illness,
Yeah.
because I had to now fit into this mental
Box.
illness in the beginning, because now I'm part of
The crew.
so I need to, like, it happens easily. You become you victimize your own self regarding
Yeah.
your, so it does make sense.
And there's people that are kind of like stuck, I feel. The one thing I like about you don't seem like you are a victim of circumstances, or you're stuck, got this diagnosis. Oh, I have this, I have anxiety, I've got.
Bullshit.
Yeah, and then, like, you know what? Like,
No, I was, like I said, there was a point in my life where I was like that. There was, definitely.
but you've managed to kind of like deal with it, or I don't know, handle it. It's under your control now, sort of.
I've met amazing people in my life. I've met, when I'm in that corner at that social settings, there's another child in the corner somewhere, and for some reason we lock eyes. Those are my people. And then you find them, they are amazing people.
Yeah.
They're amazing people. And they open this one guy I met, he said, it's your tribe. So you meet people in your tribe, and then they open your head to, then you're like, should I get it? That boy bought me a white dress. He bought me a white dress.
Okay, why a white dress?
Because there was nothing of color in my closet.
Oh, so you're wearing black now.
No,
Explain. Why nothing of color? I think I've seen one of your statuses where you're wearing like a pink or peach type of suit or something like that.
Yes.
Like, it was something very colorful.
Yes.
You're like, this is you can't believe you're wearing it, or something like that.
It's like black lets you be that social awkward child alone. Like, people don't disturb you. They let you be. Like, because when you walk in a room, it doesn't catch anyone's eye. And in the beginning, that to me worked. Like, I was great with it. Because I felt like the moment somebody says something to me, I think maybe I was angry. Because I felt like the moment somebody says something to me, I was bound to say something offensive.
Yeah.
So I think I felt like everybody should just leave me alone. But I had a lot of reasons to be angry with my life then. But then this one boy,
Put you a white dress.
he's not a boy, he's a man. But
Wait, how does this guy explain? This is an interesting story. How does he buy you a white dress?
So I was seeing this person, and he taught me a lot. can't believe I'm saying this on camera. Such a douche. But he taught me a lot. Like, I think he was one of the reasons why I got out of that place.
Okay.
On a personal level, he's not very nice, but he's a very nice person.
Yeah.
And he taught me about enlightenment. He introduced me to books. He did a lot of, like, I think he saw me in a way that I didn't see myself.
Okay.
I still saw myself with this angry little girl. And I'm heartbroken, blah, blah, victimized myself. And then he was like, no, but, your brain is beautiful. Like, try using it in this way, and blah, blah, blah. And he had his own mental illness. He had his own demons that he wanted to say. So when we got together, we almost complimented each other on that level. I introduced him to being friends with his own demons. I'm like, these demons are you.
Yeah.
You do realize that, ne? Although your Christian faith says that the actual demons that come from somewhere, they're actually you. They're your own fears and their own, So he was also going through his own shit. And the way that I thought about my life, and I introduced that to him, and he was like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense. And then whatever he was going through, he introduced that to me. And then we always tried to poke each other out of, we used to say we're poking each other. So we poke each other out of the small little spaces that we had put ourselves in.
Yeah.
So we would do this thing where we would get together with wine. He would buy the most expensive wine. And we just sit. And we would call it peeling each other. Oh my gosh.
No, this is lovely.
I know, but like saying it out loud, so we'd actually peel each other. So I would ask him the most uncomfortable question, and he would ask me the most uncomfortable. And by the end of the day, you would feel it was so
free,
nurturing in a way that, I'm showing you my skeletons and you're not running away, and you're showing my skeletons, and in that way, we're giving each other coping mechanisms, like. And then the drunker you get, the more these things just came out, and you're like, but I do this, and like, no, it's okay, like, this and this. So I've had the privilege of meeting such people.
Okay.
And then when you're done, he's like, here's that book that I was telling you about, and then he gives me a book, and you read, and then you find out that you're not as crazy as you thought you are.
Yeah.
Like, you're not like, your mind is not as misunderstood as you think it is. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then you learn, you're not your mental illness. And then you learn that you have the power to control everything. You're like, oh, do I? Oh, okay. And then we had these sessions until, life became what it was. But I learned a lot from that man.
So did you wear the white dress?
I did.
And how did it feel?
I felt very naked, honestly.
Okay.